busy here in Olusosun area of Ojota in Lagos, but it's not Harmattan in March, not at all. It's just a reaction from the waste in Olusosun dump site, and it's been on since the 14th of March 2018. You can only imagine what the people around here are going through, and it's one of the reasons why there's been a lot of voices calling for attention on waste management, especially in Lagos, which generates over 13,000 metric tons of waste every day. At least for it to be called a mega city, it means it will have a huge level of commercial activity. So this is what we'll be discussing on this episode of Big Story. You're welcome. I'm Ini John Mekwa. A space of over 100 acres of land in Ojota area of Lagos has been allocated to collect waste for almost 4 decades. Its location was described as an outskirt at that time, which was shortly after sand was excavated from the site for the building of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. For many years, Olusosun was the major collecting point of waste generated in the metropolis. One of the questions which has continuously been raised about the location is it a dump site or a landfill?
It's really a dump site. It's not a landfill. It would be very wrong for anyone and anybody anywhere to call it a landfill. It is a municipal dump site, and historically that site was chosen simply because it served as a good sand supply to build the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So the excavation of sand from that site to build the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway created a void, created a basin that could be used to dump municipal waste. And so it served Lagos Metropolis for dumping of municipal waste. It is not an engineered landfill at all, and therefore impacts were showing up from the use of that place as a dump site. Studies had to be carried out, including in my laboratories here, testing of water of people living in that area. Because over the years, granted that when Olusosun dump site was to be used as a dump site, it was on the outskirts of Lagos, on Lagos-Ibadan axis. Because as you probably recall, the old toll gate, the original toll gate, was located just across from it. So it was on the outskirts of the metropolis. However, over time, settlers and residences grew around the dump site. It is at that point that we started showing concern, those of us environmentalists, saying that that site had to be relocated or studies carried out to confirm if it was impacting on the water wells of residents around Oregun, Kudirat Abiola Way, etc. And we must say that we found that indeed leachates from that dump site, we only found traces of leachates in water wells of people around there. And the reason was the geological formation around the Olusosun dump site. The geological formation showed an attenuation, an impermeable layer that stopped leachates from the dump site into water wells of people around residences around Olusosun.
With these findings, everyone got comfortable with the use of Olusosun, although some experts had warned that the use should not be indefinite. After years of successfully managing the dump site and when guards had been dropped, Lagosians experienced an inferno at the site on Wednesday, March the 14th, 2018.
This, we believe, is as a result of the trapped gas at the dump site. For over some time, we believe that it has not been capped. Capped in the sense that if the cells that we use, that refuse are being dumped into, after a period of time, they cap it with laterite, so that whatever is there do not escape. But for quite some time, I don't believe that has been done to the landfill site, to the dump site. So the gas there were able to escape. And you know, at the landfill, as big as it is, once a place catches fire and there are other uncapped areas, it spreads. So that's why it was able to spread to the most areas of the landfill site there. Periodically, the moment you make use of a particular cell, you know, you need to excavate, then bury the waste. Then you cap with laterite. That is cap. So the moment the cell is filled up and you move to another place, you have to cap the one that you leave. But unfortunately, it's been concessioned. It's not been operated by LOMA, neither the Ministry of Environment. So I think the concessionaire, one way or the other, did not do what is supposed to be done. Probably they did, but it was not enough.
In the situation, Nigeria's municipal waste consists of co-disposed waste, domestic waste, and industrial waste. And therefore, you find that landing at that dump site in Olusosun was waste from industries, waste from homes, waste from hospitals, waste from everywhere. At some point, hospital waste was being managed in an incinerator. However, over time, co-disposed waste arrived at that dump site. So what we now found over time was that the co-disposed waste was just accreting, was just heaping up. There was nobody properly either segregating or recycling or making efforts to recycle. Then the LOMA, the Lagos State Waste Management Authority, got some good governance at some point in the history of that site. And that good management at LOMA saw that something had to be done with Olusosun, brought in some international consultants, brought in some of us local consultants to advise on how to manage Olusosun in order to minimize its impact on the people living in Lagos metropolis, and particularly living in the Oregun axis